All right. Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Good.
Great. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Bruno Marchesi. I'm the Director of Strategic Expansion of the U.S. Soccer Foundation. So happy to be here. Just came back from Washington, D.C. Love this event. I want to give a special shout out to Kenyon from Inderkum High School for hosting this event. Such important work happening here at Inderkum with the soccer teams, but more importantly to the community, to just really provide knowledge and information for students and for parents to really get an idea of what the next level looks like. Let me introduce you to who we have tonight. It's a very, very special panel. First up to my left, we have Seiler. He is our number 14 defender from our Sacramento Republic soccer team. Let's welcome him. So next up on my list, we have Donnie Ribaudo. He is the head coach for the women's team at Folsom Lake College. And let's give him a round of applause. Since taking over that program, since 2013, he has amassed 72 wins in that short amount of time. So we got winners over here. We got winners. Let's give him a round of applause. Next up, we have Shoen. She is the director of Azteca FC and a professional soccer player. She's on her
Second division.
Second division.
Yeah.
And she's on her 5th year playing there. And she just passed her C license certification, which is a huge deal. So let's give her a round of applause. Next up, we have Lea Wallace. She is better known as, you want me to say it?
Sure.
She's the most outstanding 800-meter track and field runner from the Big Sky Conference. She was named number 11 out of the top 25 female athletes in the Big Sky Conference. So let's give her a round of applause. And then last but not least, we have Coach Mike Linenberger. He is the head coach for the Division I Sacramento State University soccer team. He has been doing it for the last 29 seasons and has amassed 180 wins in that period of time. Let's give him a round of applause. So if we can start with Coach Mike, if you could tell us in 2 to 3 minutes a little bit more of what all the great things that I didn't miss about you, what would you say to the folks out there?
I would say that the recruiting process has changed drastically from when I was coming out of high school way back in the early 80s to what it is today. When I was coming out of high school in the 80s, recruiting didn't take place until your senior year in high school. And there was no women's soccer back then. Now, the women's game, they're recruiting student athletes, as early as their freshman and sophomore years. And the men's game isn't quite as early. But certainly juniors and even a little bit into the sophomore years now. So everything has sped up. Everything is taking place a lot earlier. So these types of informational sessions on educating yourself on how to get recruited, what does the recruiting process look like, how do you get coaches' attention, what do they look for, applying to colleges, all those types of things. Absolutely vital. So you've taken a great first step by being here tonight. Soak in as much as you can and learn from all the different panelists here on what they have to say and what they have to offer.
Thank you so much, Coach. One of the things that I want to note, because it's really, really important, one thing is to go to a website and try to find some information and how to access information about where to do next, who to call next. Another thing is to be able to shake hands with that person who leads that charge, who is in charge of that team, who can guide you in that process. So this is huge in terms of giving the community access to people that we normally wouldn't have access to. So I definitely want to thank again Inderkum High School and Kenyon for putting this together, because the type of access that we're able to provide to communities is huge. How about you? What did I miss?
Yeah, so I guess what you missed would be what I'm currently doing right now is I work at Sacramento State in their Student Athlete Resource Center. And so my role at Sacramento State really is to keep track of the athletes that come into our program and help them to stay eligible and on track for graduation while they're there. I came to Sacramento State after retirement. So to tell you a little bit about my journey, I grew up in foster care. No one in my family had ever gone to college or played in sports. And I was good enough to earn a scholarship. But in that process, I had no idea what I was going through or what to do, and made so many mistakes just in the process. And it was only by the grace of God that I even got to college, and that I stayed in college and stayed eligible and did very well there. But I experienced a tremendous amount of success at Sacramento State, even because of the people that were holding my hand and the people that I connected myself to, that I knew what they were doing along the way. So I graduated as an All-American and a scholar athlete, and earned a professional Nike contract where I ran professionally for the next 8 years through 2 Olympic cycles. And then I retired and went back to Sacramento State. And really what I'm trying to do is teach the athletes that are coming through there now how to do this and how to come through that process. So.
Yeah. And just to put some things in perspective, because my running abilities are not that good, 800 meters is 2 laps around the track.
And I ran the mile too, so 4. You guys know 800, and all of it sucks. I wasn't really fast. I was fast enough to where they knew, like, she's not a soccer player, you need to put her on the track. But then I wasn't fast enough to run the really short stuff, so they're like, oh, just make her run longer. And it worked out. So.
I want to reiterate, 2 laps around the track. That's a long way to go.
Yeah.
Miss Rose, what did I miss?
So my path wasn't as traditional. It took me 7.5 years to graduate my bachelor's, and primarily I work with kids who are usually lower income or with different demographics. Right now I head coach a men's team in the San Francisco Soccer Football League, which has been around for 116 years, and I also coach in a league called the UPSL, which is a nationally ranked 4th Division league for men. And so my journey has been working with different levels. I worked with the youth level all the way up to assistant coaching in college with Coach Donnie, which was a great experience. I worked with the women's for a year and with the men's program for a year. I went to 5 different junior colleges and 3 universities to earn my degree, and it was not easy. Growing up, my parents weren't willing to pay $500 for a tournament, so I worked all the way through college. There's rough moments while you're going through education, but I was lucky to find some good mentors that were able to push me in the right direction. I did earn my bachelor's from the University of California, Davis, and I recently took my national C license final, and so it is interesting as a female coach being able to move up in licensing. The higher and higher you go, the fewer and fewer women you see coaching, and so I guess that's what my perspective has been from, and just educating myself. I always tell kids I work with that no matter like what the adversity you're going through, there's people who are willing to help you as long as you continue to work hard. And, I had to switch majors 3 times before I found the right path for myself. And so I always try to work with those kids that might be struggling. You might be on academic probation. There might be something going on at home, but there's people who are willing to help you. And I always tell my players, like, just reach out because people want to see you succeed on and off the field. So I'm a really big pusher, and I want to see you succeed as a person, both as a person and a player. And so that's really what I advocate for a lot.
Thank you so much. And for the young people, I want to tell you directly that I think one of the best gifts that we can give to somebody else is be able to show them that we did it too, right? And so when we see folks that have gone through that same journey, through that same path, people that look like us, speak our same language, that come from our same neighborhoods, I think then the hope is that we can give others hope as well, that it can be done, right? That it's hard work, but it can be done. Donnie, what about you? What did I miss?
Yeah, well, I think I've experienced college soccer at a couple different levels, and so I'll explain my journey and why I say that. I'm a product of the community college. I grew up in the Sacramento Valley, and I was fortunate enough to transfer. I played at Chico State. Had a really good experience playing at Chico State. Got myself into the graduate program there. After I was done playing, I had an opportunity to play in the USL. Played for the California Gold and the Chico Rooks. That was a long time ago. So you guys are pretty good now. But when I got the opportunity to go back to school, I also had the opportunity to get on staff, and so I was on the men's side with head coach Felipe Restrepo for 7 years at the Division II level in the CCAA. Was a great experience for me, recruiting at that level and experiencing the game at that level. And then I had an opportunity to move out to Colorado, and I started the first women's soccer program at what they call there the junior college, Otero Junior College, first women's program in Colorado. Had some success there, and then had the opportunity to move back and be close to family here at Folsom Lake College, and at Folsom Lake at the CCAA level. We have our program has been around for 5 years. We're going into our sixth season, and have had a lot of success at that level as well.
Yeah. Cole, what about you?
Well, I wish that this type of panel and event was available when I was going through this process, because I grew up with two older brothers who went to university as well, but neither of the two played a college sport. So my parents and I were kind of in the dark when going through this process. I was a late bloomer in high school, so I was fortunate enough that I was able to go to the residency program with the U17 national team, training for the World Cup there. So that opened a lot of doors for me that otherwise I probably wouldn't have had access to. That being said, I think the college recruitment process, going through at this time, you have a lot of, as a high school kid that I can remember, you have a lot of pressures weighing on you, both succeeding on and off the field that you hear about, but also pressures trying to be, whether it be personal relationships with your friends or with a girlfriend or boyfriend, that other times people may not really put into weigh that as a factor. That being said, it can be a fun process, but it also can be a really stressful process. And I think that you grow up a lot when you start talking with coaches who are promising you certain things that they may be realist with you, but they also may say, hey, like I can give you this, I can give you this. And I've talked to plenty of guys who've gone through this process who, for whatever reason, it didn't work out for the best of them. So that being said, I think you grow up a lot in your email skills, talking with coaches, staying on task both with your emails, because you have to weigh this in, but also you have to continue to succeed in school. So I was fortunate enough that I had a good high school coach and good club coaches that helped guide me along this process. But one thing that I always emphasize to high school kids is don't stress about too much, because it should be a fun opportunity for you. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you so much. And you went to Georgetown.
Yes, I did.
Great. And Coach, you went to Duke.
I did. It was a long time ago.
Yes. So you started to see the pattern here. I went to Sacramento State University and got 2 degrees from there, and I got another degree from USC. So it can be done. And so one of the things that I'm big on, and I was telling a young man out there before the event started, that one of the keys to forming relationship is being willing to put yourself out there, being vulnerable to go up to someone that you may not know and shake their hand, tell them your name, who you are, ask them for who they are, because you never know who you're going to be sitting next to, right? And so this ability to build community from a simple handshake, from a simple hello, can go a long way to creating a relationship. So I want to ask the panelists, and I'll ask the question, and anybody who wants to take it first can go, and then we can go like that. I'm big on building relationships. So what is one relationship that you remember that either was built with you as you were going up your ranks, or that you are intentionally building now, and how are you doing that so that folks are successful in their journey? Would anybody like to take that first? How do we build relationships?
I'm not really sure if this is the answer you're looking for, but specifically talking about the soccer community, I would say that what's amazed me is how small of a community it is, and how, in talking about building relationships, there's both, you can do it positively, but you can also do it negatively. And in discussions that you'll have with these coaches, they'll get to know you, and you'll get to know some more about their program, but they'll get to know personal things about you. So if for whatever reason, I remember I had a tough decision where I became really close with this coach that was from a small university near my hometown. It would have been nice for my parents to come able to see all my games, and I used to go to his camp all the time, and he would personally come up and speak with me. So I felt like he was someone I could trust, but when it came time to ultimately telling him that I was going to select to go to Georgetown over his school, that was a really tough decision, and it really weighed on me. But there's definitely a positive way that you can go about that, and just being clear and upfront with these coaches. Sometimes coaches will, not to cast them as being negative guys, but sometimes they have agendas that they need to on certain select few scholarships they have. So you just need to be upfront with them and tell them personally where you are in your process if you don't want to commit too early to them. But what I can't emphasize enough is that there's a good way about handling yourself in these relationships, and there's a bad way. And if you decide to choose the latter, it can sometimes come and bite you in the butt later in life.
Yeah. And for the coaches in the panel, how do you currently build relationships with your players that come into your team? What is your process for building relationships with them?
I think for me, it takes some time. It takes time to invest time into learning who they are, where they're from, what they're about, how do they learn, what their needs are, what their challenges are, and I think that that has helped me with creating relationships with them, is gaining their trust, but investing in them and investing in what they need to be successful academically, athletically, and on a personal level. So I think investing time into learning who they are, and then finding ways to support them in those three areas.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you said about investing time. For all of you that are here tonight, thank you, because you are investing time. You're investing time in your kids' education, and for the young people that are here, you could be doing a million other things, but you're here. Thank you. You are investing time. Coach Mike, how do you build relationships with your new players that are coming to Division I?
Yeah, I think Donnie hit it on the head there, that it takes time. It's open communication and a lot of communication. One of the things that I would emphasize is that when we bring student athletes on for visits, and mom and or dad accompanying them, I feel that too often when we sit down and we're chatting, that it's mom and dad that are doing most of the talking or asking most of the questions. And we'd like to see more from the student athlete, from the high school student, to try and get to know them a little bit more, and to not let mom and dad do all the talking and all the questions for you. I think that's really important when building a relationship, that you're going to be coming to potentially our university for 4 to 5 years, and we're going to be working with you, not with mom and dad. Not that mom and dad aren't important, an important part of the process, but we need to make sure that we start to build a relationship with the student.
Yeah. So one suggestion that I would give is, as a family, before you have those visits, have a conversation with both the parents and your student at home, right? Hash out all the questions that you may have, what you may get asked, how you would answer, what concerns you may have. Don't have that meeting in front of the coach at the visit, right? Take care of that at home so that you're clear with what your message is going to be, so that we hear from the young people about what their needs are, what their wants are, so that we can move forward in that process. Coach Rose, what about you in terms of relationships?
Currently, the demographic I work with right now, I'm basically working with late high school boys and early 20s with the men, and then I have the youth teams. But in regards to the boys and the men, I usually evaluate kind of where does he come from? What's his social economic background? Are the parents home? Is he an immigrant? I do work with a lot of kids that are immigrants or they're first generation, so they don't always understand Why do I need to graduate high school? Why should I even go to college? I can't afford $25,000. It's never going to happen. And so a lot of the stuff that I do with them is I will frequently, because it is my own team, I do have the time to take them. We'll go out and eat, and we'll just discuss, like, well, what do you really like to do? Do you want to go to a trade school? We can put you in a 2-year program. Maybe 4-year program isn't what you should be doing. Maybe our objective is only to get you through high school. I have a lot of boys I've worked with that for them to graduate high school was a very big accomplishment, and they will never go to college, but for them to just get a diploma was a very big deal, and to get them into some type of working situation. I deal with kids who come from as far as Arbuckle and Woodland, and a lot of the time they're farming communities. So if they're not showing up for practice, it might be because they're in harvest season. So there's a lot of different factors I work with my players. Just because they didn't show up to practice doesn't mean they didn't want to be there. They might have had to work a 12-hour shift. So that's definitely a factor. And just understanding, like, there's language barriers sometimes. I do work with kids who have language barriers. I coach in Spanish and English. Getting the parents to trust me to allow me to work with the kids more directly. I translate a lot of FAFSAs. I do a lot of financial aid help, teaching them that there are scholarships available. There are different types of level of college. It's not all just Division I.